Hello students, today we start a new chapter number 8, valuation. So in this chapter we discuss about what is cost, what is value and what is price, and then after difference between the cost and value, price and value, then after difference between the real estate and personal estate, then after necessary condition for a value and what is valuation, the value properties depend on which factors, then after objects and purpose of the valuation, and characteristic of the good valuer, and discuss on mortgage, freehold property, leasehold property, and depreciation and obsolescence, and methods for calculation of the depreciation. Clear? So let's we start our topic with what is cost. So the term cost is used to indicate the actual amount of uh, incurred in producing a commodity, and cost means the original cost of the construction and can be known after accounting all day-to-day expenditure from the very planning stage till the construction is completed, and the expenditure or charges represent directly in the commodity produced are called the prime cost, and the other expenditure, other charges like rent, management, service, salaries, depreciation, etc., represented indirectly in the production of the commodity are called supplementary cost. So here total cost, what is total cost? Total cost is a summation of the prime cost and supplementary cost. Then after we start another topic is a value. So value means it's a worth or utility, and a value varies from time to time and depend largely on a supply of a particular type of property and extent of the demand for it. The cost of construction of a building may have no relation to the value of the same if sold in a open market, and the value of property within a short time may be more like double than the cost of construction when there are more buyers for that type of the property, and vice versa. So the value depends mainly on its utility, scarcity, events, etc., and the quantity of one commodity that will exchange for a quality of another commodity is called a price of this later commodity, and vice versa. Like example, like the value of a motor car may be expressed in terms of so many cycle or so many kg of weights, etc. So this system is known as a better system, and in a modern days, however, the relative value of various commodity are expressed in terms of money. Now third one is the price. So the term price is used to indicate the cost of commodity plus profit of a manufacturer. So what is price? So price is a summation of the cost plus profit is called a price. So as a labor and capital are required to produce a commodity, the manufacturer is entitled to have some reward over and above the cost of commodity. Now in a price, the price of a commodity is determined by the supply and demand condition prevailing in the market for that particular commodity, and as such a commodity may be sold above or below its cost of production. Now difference between the cost and value. So what is cost? So cost is the actual amount incurred in producing a commodity is called its cost, and what is value? So value means worth or utility of a commodity. Now cost is it has a relation with the past, and value it's a relation, it has a relation with future, and cost it is a constant amount, and value depends on supply or demand. Now another difference between the price and value. So what is price? Price is a cost plus profit, and value means work or utility of a commodity, and price is a fact thing, and value is a estimate of what price out to be. So it's a value. So after some of the time we got value increase or decrease depends on a type of thing. Now we start a difference between the real estate and personal estate. So what is real estate? The property which cannot be moved from one place to another place is called a real estate or a real property. Now what is personal estate? So the property which can be moved from one place to another place is called a personal estate or a personal property. Like here example, like in a real estate is a land, building, etc. are a real estate. So land and building cannot be moved from one place to another place is called a real estate, and personal estate is all other property except the land and building are called a personal estate. Like building materials, furniture, etc. are a personal estate, and real estate is also known as a real property or reality, and personal estate is also known as a personal property or a personality. Now in a real estate, valuation of a real estate is difficult, and in a personal estate, valuation of a personal estate is easy. Now all the matter fixed to be earth is called a land. Now all the matter removed from the earth become a personal estate. Like in a real estate example, like a foundation, buildings, trees, etc. are similar. Coal and oil, tin inside the earth are called a real estate. And in a personal estate example, like construction material, timber, coal, oil explode from the earth are called a personal estate. And in a real estate, after death of the owner of a real estate, the property is given to his heirs. And in a personal estate, after death of the owner, the personal estate, his personal representative takes the possession of a property. In a real estate is a subject of a tenure, and in a personal estate is the subject of absolute ownership. Now next topic, we start on necessary conditions for a value. So first is a transferability. So the the attribute necessary for a commodity to possess power of getting itself action is termed transferability, and the land and building are not a portable, but they can be transferred. And second necessity condition is marketability. So the commodity should be such that it can be easily marketed, and it can be easily sell or buy in a open market is called a marketability. Third one is the utility. Necessary condition is a utility. So the attribute or a characteristic of a usefulness or the quality of a power of satisfying the wants or need is termed as a utility. And last one, necessity is a scarcity. So the commodity must be scarce or limited in a quantity, and in a demand in a market is a scarcity. Now here next topic we start is what is valuation. So value is the art of estimating or determining the fair price or a value of a property, such as a building, a factory, and other engineering structure, and land, etc. And by valuation, the present value of the property is determined, and the present value of property may be decided by its selling price or income or rent it may be fetch. And the value of property depend on its structure, life, maintenance, location, legal control, etc. And the value also depends on a supply and demand and purpose for which the valuation is required. And rise and fall of the fair price can occur in a very short space of time. It follows therefore that all the valuation must clearly stated the date to which the value relates, since time is the essence of all valuation. Now next is the value of a property is depend on which factor. So here total 8 thing is given. The value of properties depend on the nature of structure, life, maintenance, location, bank interest, and legal control, supply and demand, and last one is a purpose of valuation. Now next is objects or a purpose of the valuation. So why valuation is required? What is object of a valuation? So for a buying or selling of property, so when it is required to buy or sell a property, the valuation is required. And second is a security of loan or a mortgage. So when the loans are taken against the security of a property, its valuation is required, and it is also referred to as a valuation for a mortgage purpose. Now third object is a rent fixation. So in order to determine the rent or of a property, valuation is required. So rent is usually fixed on a certain percentage of the amount of valuation, like 5 to 10% of the valuation. And fourth one is insurance. Fourth object is insurance. So for the purpose of taking out an insurance policy of a property, the owner desire to know the replacement value of the property in case the value of land is excluded or omitted. And fifth one object fifth one objects of valuation is taxation. So to access the tax of property, its valuation is required. Tax may be municipal tax, property tax, wealth tax, etc. And all the taxes are fixed on the valuation of property. And sixth one is a compulsory acquisition. So sometime a property is acquired by law for some public purpose. In that case, is the injured party is to be paid a suitable amount of compensation for a property thus the acquired. To determine the amount of compensation, valuation of a property is required. Now seventh one is a betterment changes. So when a property comes under some town planning scheme of the area, so its value increase, and consequently the owner of the property is required to pay the additional tax known as a betterment charges. It becomes thereof necessary for the owner of a property to know the value of his property before and after completion of town planning scheme. Now next object of a valuation is a speculation. So when the purchase is intended for sales of a property and make some profit, a short period valuation is necessary for that purpose, and this is known as a speculative value. Generally speculative value is lesser than the market value. And ninth one is objective is a court fees. So when a case has to be filled with respect to a real estate, it become necessary to affix a stamp of a suitable amount. So this amount is worked out after arriving the value of a property dispute. And 10th objectives of valuation is a gift tax. When the property is gifted, valuation of a gifted property is necessary to pay a gift tax to the government by a person whom the property has been gifted. And last one is the balance sheet. So sometime a company require to valuation of its premises for the purpose of showing them in a balance sheet. So these are the different objects or the purpose of the valuation. Now next we start a difference between the estimate and valuation. So what is estimate? So the process of calculating the quantity of a cost of a various item of a building known as a probable cost is called a estimate. And what is valuation? So valuation is the art of estimating or determining the fair price or a value of a property such as a building, factory, or other engineering structure and land, etc. And estimation is done before starting of the construction. Means before starting of the construction we calculate the total quantity of a material required, or a total price or a approx price is called a estimate. And what is valuation? Valuation done after completion of the construction for a land only. Now next is the estimation. Is at the time of the estimation the property is not in front of the eye of the estimator, therefore accuracy is less. And valuation, at the time of the valuation the property is in front of the eyes of valuer, so therefore the accuracy is more. And estimation purpose of the estimation are a preliminary study of the project, administrative approval, to investigate the feasibility, to get the loan from the banks. So estimation is required. And purpose for the valuation are buying or selling of the property, security of loans, rent fixation, and insurance, etc. So valuation is required. Now factor affecting the estimation are types of construction and year of construction. And factor affecting valuation are demand and supply and development in a building. Now next we discuss about the characteristic of a good valuer. So a good valuer must possess the sound knowledge of the following subjects, like estimate and costing, planning and design, surveying and leveling, building bylaws of local bodies, land acquisition, and experience in construction work, law of contracts, then after town planning acts, arbitration, economic geography, sociology, then after commercial mathematics, and investment principles, insurance, money market, and rate of interest, taxation of government, and report writing. So all these things are compulsory required for a good valuer. So it's a total 17 characteristic for a good valuer engineer. Now next we start a mortgage. So what is mortgage? So the owner of a property can borrow money against the security of his property. Such advancement of a money against any form of security is called a mortgage. And the transaction, the security, and the condition of a loan are entered in a document is known as a mortgage deed. So the person who takes a loan is known as a mortgager, and the person who advances the loan is known as a mortgagee. Now when the loan is fully repaid together with the interest of the mortgager has got the right to free his property from his mortgagee, and this is known as a equity of redemption. And when the money is in advance by the depositing the title deeds of a property with the mortgagee as a security for a repayment of a loan and interest, it is known as a equitable mortgagee. Now in case of failure of the repayment of a loan by the mortgager, the mortgagee can take over the position or property and sell it to recover the amount of loan and the interest of other expenses. Now next we start important point is freehold property and leasehold property. So a freehold property means that the owner is absolute possession of a property The freehold can utilize the same in any manner he likes, subject to the rules and regulation of the government and local authority, and he may sell the property, divide it and develop it, and grant it on a lease and his sweet will. And leasehold property, so the owner of the freehold property may give the permission to any other person to use his freehold property, which is giving the property on a lease, and such property is called a leasehold property. So the person who take a lease is known as a leasee or a leaseholder, and the owner of the property who grant a lease is known as a lessor. So the duration of a lease may be quite a short period, yearly or 3 year, but occupation lease for terms such as 15, 21, 25 or 50 years are commonly in a practice, and when the lease is granted for a period of the 99 years is known as a long term lease. So here type of lease is given. So first is a building lease, second is a occupation lease, and sublease, life lease, and perpetual lease. Now next we start depreciation and obsolescence. So depreciation is a gradual loss in a value of a property due to its use, life, wear, tear and decay, and this is an assessment of a physical wear and tear of the building or a property, and is naturally depend on its original condition, quality or maintenance and mode of use, and thus the value of the building or a property decrease gradually up to utility period due to depreciation, and a certain percentage of total cost may be allowed as a depreciation to determine its present value. Usually a percentage on depreciation per annum is allowed, and the general annual decrease in the value of a property is known as a annual depreciation, and the present value of a property is the initial cost minus total amount of depreciation. So here different types of the depreciation is given. So first is divided into main two parts, physical depreciation and functional depreciation. Now physical depreciation is divided into another two part. First is a wear and tear from a operation, and the second is a depreciated action on of a time and other elements. And function depreciation is divided into another two part, in education and super suppression, and second is obsolescence is a second. Now next we start obsolescence. So obsolescence may be defined as a loss in the value of a property due to change in a fashion and in a design, in a structure, etc. So after some of the time fashion is changed, design is changed, or structure is old, so obsolescence is a loss the value of a property is known as a obsolescence. So and old dated building with a massive wall arrangement of a room not suited in a present day, and for a similar reason become obsolete even if it is maintained in a very good condition, and its value become less due to obsolescence. And obsolescence may be due to the reasons such as progress in art, change in a fashion, change in a planning idea, and new innovation and improvement in a design technique, etc. So types of obsolescence is internal obsolescence and external obsolescence. So internal is divided to another four part. First is a poor and old design, second is a change in a type of construction, third one is a change in a kind of construction, and fourth one is a change in a utility demand. And external obsolescence is divided to another 4 part. Poor, first one is a poor original location, second is a change in characteristic of a district, and third one is a specific determinantal influence, such as construction of factories, proximity of a public building, and traffic locations, noise, etc. And last one is the zoning laws. Now next topic, we start a method of calculating depreciation. So here there are main 4 method. First is a straight line method, second is a constant percentage method, third one is a sinking fund method, fourth one is a quantity survey method. So one by one we discuss on it. First is a straight line method. So in this method, it is assumed that the property loses its value by same amount every year. So a fixed amount of original cost is deducted every year, so that the end of the utility period only the scrap value is left. So the annual depreciation is equal to annual depreciation in a value of a property. So depreciation D is equal to C minus S divided by N. So here D is the annual depreciation, C is the original cost, and S is a scrap value, and N is a life in a year. Now if the depreciation of property after M year, so equation of the depreciation D is equal to C minus S divided by N multiplied by M, and book value after M year is C minus, in the bracket, C minus S divided by N multiplied by M. Now second method for calculating the depreciation is a constant percentage method. So in this method, it is assumed that the property will lose its value by a constant percentage of its value at the beginning of every year. So by this method, decrease in value of the property in beginning year is at a faster rate, will decrease in a value in the later year is at a slower rate. So this method is more suitable for calculating depreciation of any machine. So in a percentage rate of the annual depreciation, P is equal to 1 minus S divided by C raised to 1 by N. So P is a percentage rate of the annual depreciation, S is a scrap value, C is the original cost, and N is a life in a year. And if the age of the property is M years, so value of the property may after M years after depreciation is C S divided by C raised to M by N, and this formula does not hold good when scrap value is equal to 0. Now third method for a depreciation is a sinking fund method. So in this method, the depreciation is the property is assumed to be equal to the annual sinking fund plus the interest on a sinking fund for particular that year. So depreciation is the annual sinking fund plus interest on the sinking fund for that year. So A is the annual sinking fund, B, C, D, etc. are interest on a sinking fund for the subsequent year, and C is the original cost. So see this table. So in this table, life in a year 1, 2, 3, 4 is given, annual sinking fund capital is annual sinking fund is given, and interest on sinking fund B, C, D, small b, c, d is given. So depreciation of that year is a summation of the annual sinking fund plus interest on a sinking fund. So depreciation of that year, like in a first year is A, in a second year A plus small b, in a third year A plus small c, and in a fourth year A plus small d. And total depreciation is a summation of depreciation plus second year depreciation, third year depreciation, etc. So here total depreciation for a first year is A, in a second year A plus B, means 2a plus b, and in a third year, first year, second year depreciation is a summation of the first year and second year depreciation is a total depreciation of a third year, 3a plus b plus c, and fourth year 4a plus b plus c plus d. Now book value is c is original cost minus depreciation is a book value, so c minus a, then after in a second year c minus 2a plus b, and in a third year c minus 3a plus a plus b, and in a fourth year c minus 4a plus b plus c plus d. Now if I is the rate of interest and annual sinking fund installment of accumulate 1 rupees in an year, so p is 1 divided by 1 plus I raised to n minus 1, and if I is the rate of interest and 1 rupees in a deposit every year, total sinking fund accumulate at the end of an year is q is equal to 1 plus I raised to n minus 1 divided by 1. So rate of depreciation in an year is p multiplied by q in the form of the percentage. Now in a next lecture we discuss about examples of the depreciation. So here total three methods we generally use for calculating the depreciation. So in the next lecture we calculate the example of a depreciation. So here lecture 1 is completed. Thank you.